Hey friends, how you doing? Eric Eulis here. All right, let's talk about something a little bit interesting, a little bit fun, and a little bit mysterious today, and that's about Tena Bar, the place where a portion of D.B. Cooper's ransom was found in 1980. Now, it's not only mysterious because of the fact $6,000 of D.B. Cooper's ransom was found there in 1980. It's got an interesting history that actually involves a couple of other things that have happened at that place there. So firstly, I think what's just kind of remarkable about Tena Bar, a place that I've been many times and I've actually researched and investigated quite thoroughly. The first thing that's kind of really remarkable and cool about it is that it's actually in the shadow of Mount St. Helens. Here's a picture of Mount St. Helens way in the background. You can see a portion of the very famous Tena Bar sign there as well, included in the picture. It's, of course, notable. Mount St. Helens is, of course, notable because it was May 18th of 1980, about 3 months actually after the money was found, that Mount St. Helens blew its top. Obviously, it was a major eruption in the United States, actually probably the biggest eruption in the United States in recent memory, in recent times. So that's kind of an interesting just little, quirk of nature related to this, that Tena Bar is actually in the shadow of Mount St. Helens. But of course, a portion of D.B. Cooper's ransom was found there February 10th, 1980. And what makes it interesting is it was found exactly 3,000 days to the day after the skyjacking took place. And many people have brought up the fact as well that the place is called Tena Bar, and Tina Mucklow was the name of the flight attendant that really communicated with and sat next to D.B. Cooper virtually the entire flight. Now, I don't think there's any kind of relationship there with respect to Tena Bar and Tina Mucklow, the flight attendant. Indeed, Tena Bar is actually spelled with an E, T-E-N-A. But it's just one of those things that people have brought up there. Now, what actually is really interesting as well is about 10 years after the money was found, there were actually 5 cow mutilations on the property as well, which is bizarre. Now, when I talk about cow mutilations, I'm talking about like the kind of cow mutilations that you've seen on TV where, there's missing organs and things of this nature. There's no blood in the area, and they look at the incisions and so forth, and it looks like the incisions were done by some sort of laser, that kind of thing. I mean, that is certifiably what we're dealing with here. There were actually 5 of these cow mutilations that took place between June and October of 1990. I believe there was one a month there for 5 months there. Now, interestingly as well, I've been aware of the cow mutilations for quite some time. I've talked to Richard Fazio about them. But what's interesting about it as well is that I actually recently discovered this map that actually shows where the 5 cows were located. Now, here's a map. You've got 5 stars numbered 1 through 5, and the stars indicate obviously locations where a cow was located, and it also indicates the order in which these 5 cows were found. Now, what's notable to me, or kind of interesting to me, is number 4 and number 5. You see number 4 and number 5 up there. What's notable is compare this picture to this picture. You'll notice that the hazardous wooded trench, the one area that I've identified as a prime location, a prime spot to search for D.B. Cooper's parachutes, is actually precisely where 2 of those cows were found. They were found right there along the wooded trench. So that's another one of those really interesting things about Tena Bar, the fact that you've got not only this very mysterious D.B. Cooper skyjacking and $6,000 that was found on Tena Bar that people have had a very difficult time explaining how it got there. We also have these very, bizarre, mysterious cow mutilations that took place some 10 years after the money was found as well. And these are certifiably mysterious, very bizarre, very weird. The police came out and investigated them. They were reported on in the media and so forth. So it's genuinely an interesting thing. The other thing that I find really interesting about it Tena Bar relates to the sand that's found on the beach there. Now, here's a picture from 2021 with Josh Gates, myself, and Brian Ingram. Now, Brian Ingram is the guy on the far right there. He's the then 8-year-old boy who found D.B. Cooper's ransom on Tena Bar. And we're shooting an episode of Expedition Unknown. Again, this was in 2021. Now, it's hard to see there, but we're actually standing on what is black sand. Let me show another picture here of Tena Bar that gives you a better idea what the black sand looks like. You can see me actually walking along it there, and you can see that that's black sand on the beach. Why that's interesting as well and kind of notable is that while we were filming the episode of Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates, we were using metal detectors, and we discovered that that ribbon of black sand that runs along the entire beach there is actually magnetic. It's just an odd kind of thing, a magnetic strip of black sand that runs the complete length of Tena Bar, which is, I want to say it's about 15, 16, 1700 feet long, at least that long as far as the black ribbon of sand is concerned. And here's actually a little bottle of it that I collected when I was actually doing some of the filming there. I collected that. So I know it's a little bit tough to see with the reflection and everything, but there it is. There's some of that black sand there. But it's interesting because it's just kind of an odd thing to find on, I think, any beach, but especially Tena Bar there. Now, notably, it was actually located, this ribbon of sand is located under a layer of like clay, and then the clay was located underneath a layer of sand. At the time the money was found in 1980, the beach was really intact. So, you know, the ribbon of black sand, metallic black sand, was a few feet down, several feet down actually, I believe. But given that the Army Corps of Engineers stopped placing dredge spoils on Tena Bar as of August 1974, which mitigated the effects of erosion from the Columbia River, there's been a lot of erosion that has taken place on Tena Bar, and it is completely different today than it was back in 1980 and certainly in 1971 when the skyjacking took place. But the effects of that erosion, which has eroded many, many feet of sand and stripped away the beach and everything, eventually stripped away the sand, stripped away the clay, and got us to, rather it exposed the black ribbon of metallic sand that of course I've noted, you know, that we were all standing on there on the beach, which is interesting. So it's problematic because if you're using metal detectors, of course, you can't really find anything underneath there because it just lights up like a Christmas tree. The metal detector lights up like a Christmas tree. So I've just found Tena Bar just to be remarkable and a mysterious and a fascinating place for a number of reasons in all the years that I've been there, traveling there, researching, investigating the place. And again, you know, it starts with the fact that it's again in the shadow of Mount St. Helens, which is just kind of an interesting, odd anomaly. You know, then of course, like I said, you've got the D.B. Cooper money fine, the $6,000 found 3,000 days to the day after the skyjacking took place. Then years later, you have these cow mutilations that mysteriously occur right there on the Fazios property there. And then of course, you know, that very mysterious, at least in my mind, odd anomaly, that black ribbon of metallic sand that makes up the entirety of the beach, which actually frustrates the attempts of people there with metal detectors trying to find stuff underneath the sand to the degree that anything can be found at that point. So it's just a fascinating and it's an odd place. Of course, it looks materially different today than it did, like I said, back in 1980 and 1971. So it's really unrecognizable. But yeah, a little bit of history there, recent history, I guess you could say, related to Tena Bar, and why that's a very mysterious and a very fascinating place. And it's a place that I do believe that D.B. Cooper landed. I firmly believe that he landed very near Tena Bar, and that on the night of the skyjacking, he actually buried the money on the beach on purpose because he couldn't very well carry the cash into town. You know, he had to get back to town. So, but I do believe he came back and retrieved the lion's share of it, the $194,000 that's outstanding related to the $200,000 ransom that he received It's just that 6,000 of it was accidentally left behind. And that's what was found in 1980. So there you go. It's my little video, short little video on the mystery of D.B. Cooper, or rather the mysterious nature of Tena Bar, which obviously relates to the mystery of D.B. Cooper and the mystery of cow mutilations and the mystery of magnetic sand and the mystery of Mount St. Helens. So, of course, folks, as usual, any comments or questions, feel free to shoot me an email, eric@ericulis.com. And until next time, folks, cheers.